Yeah. Oh, it's 30.
30.
Okay.
Yeah, not counting the bonus episodes. So we're at 30.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
How are you today, Melissa?
I'm great.
Yeah. Let me adjust my microphone. Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, today we are moving on into aging.
Aging.
Yes. You know, I think this is so important because, well, to give some background, mankind hasn't lived this long for that long.
Right. It's a really kind of a new condition.
Yeah.
As we were kind of researching. And I think what kind of like, blew my mind, I was listening to something recently and it was talking about how the worldwide life expectancy back in 1950 was only around 51 years old, and that does, encompass the underdeveloped countries and all that as well. But I mean, that was not long ago.
No.
And then as I started looking into it even more, in the 1800s, it was like 40. That's like our age. I mean, this is like the end.
Yeah. A true over the hill balloon.
Exactly. I mean, at the bottom of the other side.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it's one of the things that mankind has not really had to face before until more recently.
Yeah. And I think with that comes so much uncertainty, right? Because we haven't lived this long, we don't really know what our bodies are actually supposed to do. Of course, most of us have had grandparents, or some people have people in their family that live a long time, 95, 100, late 90s. But the whole process is still kind of a mystery. And I think in that mystery, people sell a lot of weird things.
Oh, yeah.
Hormones, shots.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
because things are going to feel different. We're not going to feel like we did when we were 18, but it doesn't mean it's a disease process.
Correct.
I think people that, lived a long time before this, this day and age, probably just felt so fortunate to make it another day and another year that, maybe they didn't really talk about symptoms of aging. They just kind of thought it was part of the process. But now we are, living lives so differently, even well into our 50s, working into our 60s, some people even in their 70s.
Yeah.
So just the things that we're doing require more. And, if we feel like our mental sharpness is slipping or our physical energy or different things like that, we automatically think something's wrong. But sometimes it is a normal process.
Exactly. And I think that's what we start with today. Today, what we'll be talking about is what can we expect? Maybe what is quote unquote normal? The flip side, what we'll touch base on is, but does it have to be like this? So we'll talk about maybe the normal things, maybe the abnormal things, maybe because of the industry that we're in. We're an industrialized country. So things that we experience have changed, and our genetics haven't changed that much, but things have changed. And so we'll bring in things like diseases that maybe we didn't know existed because no one lived this long. We'll talk about things like lifespan, Healthspan, and maybe what we can learn from these centenarians, right? So these people that live to 100. And it's funny, there's areas in the world where they're concentrated, where people live to 100 almost not routinely, but more common than, say, here in the United States.
Yes.
And so we can learn some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's start with the normal aging. Right, so Melissa, now, when I was 20, I would go to school, we'd go out, play tennis, then I'd play ultimate frisbee at night, go to the gym, go to bed, wake up, little stiff, by the afternoon, good to go again. Now, I did a glute hamstring workout and they hurt.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably hard to walk the next day.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm like, I can take it, and I think that is something that you can expect to happen. Things take a little longer to heal than they used to. Your endurance and your strength and things like that, they can be trained to be better, but there is a little bit of decline compared to when you were 18 years old. Cognitively, there is also maybe a little bit of decline, right? When you were I look at my children, they can learn languages like nobody's business.
And they remember everything.
Everything.
You're like, How do you remember like this, what you were wearing, this entire scenario of when you were 3, you're now 10.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even remember that?
Exactly. Yeah, right.
I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Melissa. Right. They'll remember every little promise you said. Mom, you promised on Monday at 3. And you're like, I said, I think about it.
I was hoping you would forget about that.
Yeah. But right now, right, you can still be sharp, right? We don't have, it's not like we're in utter cognitive decline, but as we age, we might forget where our keys are, forget where our phones are. Some of it is aging. Some of it's just our distractions that we have nowadays, but that is considered normal aging. Energy changes, right? So sleep patterns sometimes change as we age too. The need for deep REM sleep. So, when you're 65, 70 years old, you might not need the 10 hours that you did when you're 8 and 9, 10. Those things change. Libido changes over time. So but these are normal, hormones go down over time. These are normal things, and these are what's supposed to happen.
Right. We're living beyond our reproductive years,
Correct.
for the first time ever. I mean, other than I'm sure there were, older people here and there, but it's definitely not or wasn't as common as it is now. Now the majority of people will live beyond their reproductive years and feel all the side effects from that,
Yeah, those are all normal, right? However, now doesn't mean this normal aging process does not mean you cannot have a highly fulfilled life.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you can't still go on walks and go travel and take grandkids to the park and things like that. But things will change a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I think we're at a huge advantage, kind of having the knowledge of what goes into a long, fruitful health span, which we'll dig into a little bit more rather than just, a lifespan without any quality of life.
Yeah, it actually is a really good segue right there, Melissa.
Just toss that one up for you.
See, we just spike it. Oh yeah, I'm on camera now, so I can't be doing random hand motions. So let's talk about that then. So there is this concept of lifespan and health span. So the reason we're talking about this is lifespan is the length of life, right? How long you live. 75 years old is about the average lifespan of an American right now. And that means short of something crazy, car accident, some kind of cancer, massive heart attacks, struck by lightning, which we had a patient struck by lightning. It happens. Yeah. I mean, most people will make it to 75. But the problem is there's something called health span. So health span, the way I define it is how many years you live where you can still do what you want to do, right? So I'm not saying I'm 75, I can still do triathlons, although there are some 75-year-olds. Yeah. What we're saying is you know what? If I wanted to cook a 3-course meal for the family, I can do it. I can pull the pans down. I can move the pots around. If I want to take my family, take the kids and grandkids to Disney, and we're walking 1,000,000 steps, I can still do it without chest pain, shortness of breath. We're talking about things like, when you want to go golfing, you want to go play tennis, whatever you want to do, you can still do. Unfortunately, our health span and our lifespan in the United States don't always match.
Yeah. Oh, are you going to share the little graph?
Oh, yes.
And we can just kind of explain it a little bit.
Yes.
But, when we're talking about the centenarians, they're the ones that, maybe 100 years old, but they, live a pretty good quality of life all the way till the end. And then suddenly something happens and they go downhill within a matter of days or weeks or months and, die at age, 99, 100 or whatever. But up until that point, they're very active. They do the things that they want to do. They have a good community support. They, just really have a good quality of life. And then, they die. But, with a shortened health span,
correct,
we see more and more people developing chronic disease very early, maybe even in their early 50s, 60s, so that by the time they're in their 70s and 80s, they're on a boatload of medications. They're in and out of doctor's offices all the time. They can't, walk to the mailbox without getting short of breath. They can't do the things that they want to do. So they're they're still alive, still living, but not really that quality of life. And then, probably don't make it to 100 either.
That's exactly right. So when people see this graphic that we'll put on,
you can see the curve.
That's right. Yeah, you see the curve. Like, so the top one, that one that goes very, very long and then goes down, that's like our centenarians, right? They live to 100, but their quality of life is so good to like 99.5. And that's what we want. Like, we want to be able to be like that. But right, the other curve that we saw, the very first one, is just life if we don't do anything, right? You go. At 50, we start not being able to do anything. By 60, maybe we've had a heart attack or two. We're on a stent. We're on 8 meds. We have chest pain. We have shortness of breath. We lose anything that we want to do. We have back pain, knee pain. We're on dialysis because our diabetes took over our kidneys. And then we just die like our health span and our lifespan both get shortened. The middle one, I think, is right now, like what happens to most people, where they start going down, and then maybe they have a heart attack. And with our miraculous things like stents and medications, we're able to prolong their life just a little bit, but they still have a shortened lifespan. And their health span is very frustrating. And I would say most people almost have family members. They've seen it go through their family members, right? Granddad was fine, had a stroke, the last 5 years bedbound, not a good quality of life. What we're saying is, how can we mirror our health span like those centenarians?
Yeah.
Right? So we talk about normal aging. We talk about abnormal aging, which maybe we'll spend a little bit of time on. Maybe why is our health span going down? And then what we're going to wrap up with is, how can we match our health span to those centenarian type of health span? Which, Melissa, let's talk about this.
Yes.
What happened? Why are we declining beyond normal aging?
Well, yeah, lifestyle, we are way more sedentary. We, eat more processed foods, some of us smoke and drink, all those things that will have an effect on our chance of developing chronic disease and other things. The people that are living to 100 aren't doing it by medication or like special procedures, magical potions or supplements.
Right. No vitamins.
No vitamins. They're doing it because, and these are the blue zones, these places, little pockets around the world have been studied somewhat to see how these people live and why there's, a more dense population of, centenarians. And what they found is they have, they're active. They probably garden or walk to the market or just their day-to-day living is very active. It's not because they're going to a gym or on a special program. They just are active.
Correct.
Their food also, a lot of fresh produce, locally grown, lots of plants. They might eat meat, but it's like minimal. It's usually special occasions or just in addition to the plants that they're eating. They have really strong social connections. So whether it's just their community or church or different things like that, they have a good social connection. They're sleeping, yes. All the things that, we all know we need.
Melissa, I know when the people are listening to this podcast, they're like, it's got to be something amazing. They have to be doing something special. But really? No.
No. And they're not cold plunging.
No.
They're not.
Yeah. They're not eating weird mushroom concoctions. They're not getting collagen in their food or whatever. It is the most basic, simple thing. And I think, the reason if you look at all our content, we always circle back to nutrition, to exercise, to sleep, to stress control, to mental health, because at the end of the day, this is the crux. We do these things right, we will do very, very well. And we'll bring up studies and talk about them. And probably in the next couple of weeks, we might zone in on a couple of them. But if we don't, so, for example, in our industrialized world, right, like you said, we'll start with the food. We eat way more processed foods, way more trans fats, way more things than we have ever eaten before, right? And you can say big food has maybe made food a little bit more addicting. They're playing on our ancestors' desire for sweet things, right? Because back in the day, you might only eat like 5 grapes in your lifetime, or eat 1 apple once a month, So our body craves those things. Now we just genetically engineer those things into a loaded tea, right?
That tastes like Jolly Ranchers.
That tastes like Jolly Ranchers. Yeah, exactly. And the sugar that you used to get from that, your body would take it. Like, let's say you eat an apple, there's some fructose in there. Your body will take the fructose and store it as fat underneath the skin because that's what it needs to do to stay warm and, live a long, long time. What we do now is we extract that fructose. We put it in table sugar. We put it in high amounts, like amounts way beyond what you would get in an apple. And we sip it down with no fiber, right? No water content. And almost 80% of that goes straight to your fat cells in the beer gut. And so you're almost seeing that, hey, our genes haven't changed very much over the past 100 years, but the lifestyle has changed so much, even in our food, that is actually starting to affect our health span. You say that same with exercise, right? If you travel to some of these, you sit under, like, even with my grandma, right, in Taiwan, houses are small. She would walk down, a couple of flights of stairs, walk to the market, get like 10 pounds of food in each hand. That's about a mile away. Walk a mile back, go back up. And I mean, that's just to the market. That's not even like to the post office. That's not to anything else. But now we DoorDash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we Kroger pickup. We almost engineer movement out of our daily life.
Just the day-to-day, walking through a parking lot to the store, and my grandparents' generation, they didn't have a lot of land, but just on their little acre lot, they always had a half of the entire backyard as a garden. And they would grow their own food, and they would work hours during the summer on that garden and canning things for the winter and all those things. And that's just manual labor that we don't do anymore, let alone the benefits of that like fresh grown produce.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's great that we have the convenience, but it's sad because it truly is affecting. So I think, all the time, like even if an EMP hits the United States and we lose all electricity, Melissa, we would be, oh my gosh, we'd be like running the walls.
End of times.
Literally. Yes. We wouldn't have the skills to like some of those zombie movies, they're surviving. We just be like,
there's a few preppers here and there, I guess.
That's right. That's what we got to find them. Like, okay, do you have a compound that we can stay with? Yeah. Another piece, and that, like you mentioned, that they're so good at is community. There is this matter of knowing people, like face to face. We talk, we read body language, we have physical touch, we hug, we laugh, we do all these things. And that is so good for mental health. But it's almost like each generation that gets eroded a little bit more. And I think we've done even episodes on the way social media, but not even social media, like, families used to watch TV together at 8. Everybody now is on their own devices. Even in my own house, we have the show that we watch together, family, but my son is trying to watch his little Minecraft game. My daughter wants to watch about teenagers. I was like, teenagers, no, but it's like, these things will all start affecting our health span. So.
Yeah. And studies have shown that people with a close social network do tend to outlive people who don't.
So, I guess now that we realize there's a problem, right? And I say this all the time. And Melissa, let's actually do this exercise. What would you want your life to be like when you're 65? Let's say we get to retirement.
And there's still retired.
That's right. There's money left. Like, what do you see yourself doing at 65?
I mean, I hope that I'm traveling, maybe living someplace sunny and warm year round. Being able to visit my children, if they don't live in the same place, I want to be able to like hop on a plane and go, or drive my car and go, play with grandkids when the time comes. All those things that you just won't get to experience if you don't have your health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I say the same things. Like, it's so funny because the things that we're mentioning, like, okay, I just want to go see the kids, see the grandkids. I want to be able to do a 5K walk, for charity or something like that. I want to be able to sit in an airplane and fly 12 hours and get up. And then, if I take Jen to Rome, like, okay, we want to go see the Pantheon and the Colosseum, and we want to hike up maybe, I don't know, Mount Vesuvius, all these things that you're thinking, wow, that would be so fun to do. None of it is spectacular. It's not like we're like, I want to go to the Arctic and swim 5 laps. We're just talking about normal human being, like things that give us meaning, right? This is what gives us
human
meaning. Human experiences.
Yeah.
But you start realizing, if you start thinking, okay, walking up a mile hike or half a mile hike, up a mountain to go look at some amazing artifact, or, if we can't even do that in our 40s, there is no way we can do that in our 70s or 60s.
Yeah.
Or
without some sort of drastic intervention. And a lot of people turn to, the quick fix, maybe like, I need testosterone, or I need this special supplement, or, this, biohacking, supplement, whatever. I don't know. Or cold plunging, or, like all these crazy things. But really the things that will benefit you the most cost no money.
Zero.
It does take a little effort, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it takes it now. Like, we have to start now to learn to eat. Right. It's not going to be like, and I just ordered, like, I had a patient who got himself the weight loss shot. So funny, because he's like, yeah, I'd still eat Sonic. I just eat less Sonic.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's
yeah. And that's the thing. And I think when people think of health, they think, well, if I'm losing weight or a certain size, like, I'm healthy, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if you're, at a healthy weight because you've just taken a shot to make yourself eat less Sonic.
Correct.
You're not doing anything, positive for your coronary arteries or your brain, and the potential of, developing Alzheimer's in the future, all those things that are unseen, and have a lot more that goes into them than just like the number on the scale.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this is the time, when you come to see us in our clinic and you're like, they are so annoying because they keep calling me and want to coach me and want to check up on my food and want to check up on my exercise and my sleep and stress. It's because we care about you.
Yeah. And it's the only thing that's going to help you.
Exactly.
Like that, like if we could do anything to help you, it's teaching you how to exercise, eat right.
Yeah.
All those things. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sleep.
And sleep. Yeah. We
manage your stress.
Manage your stress. Yeah. Exactly. So, right. Because if we do those things right, your chances of a nice, fulfilling, long health span with your lifespan is going to be really high. If we don't do that right, yes, we might live to 75, but like I said, the last 10 years, the marginal decade, some people call it, it's like we're just patients. We're doing another chemo round. We're doing another medication. We're doing another thing that's blocking you from what you want to do. So, Melissa, I think our time is running
It probably
out.
is.
So,
and we've only scratched the surface. We didn't even talk about what middle-aged adults go through.
Yeah.
And just maybe we'll revisit that sometime.
We will. Yeah, I think so. Because we are, I won't say we're young, but we are getting near that middle age stuff. All right. And the things that we go through, I think it's just so natural. It's good to talk about and to process. I think, okay, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up this way because I want to kind of lead into what we're doing next week, right? So first things first, health span, lifespan, two separate things. Yes, there's normal aging. Unfortunately, most of us are doing abnormal aging because we're not taking care of our bodies. But we can fix that. We can reverse that. If we don't reverse it, the big three things that will get us: heart disease and stroke, horrible, but preventable. Cancer, horrible. Has some prevention ideas that can lower your risk, but that one, screenings are important. But there are things we're going to talk about how to fix that. Mental decline, I think, is one we don't talk about a lot. Alzheimer's dementia, vascular dementia, Lewy body disease. These are all things that there are things actually we've learned that can help, maybe not prevent, but delay. Because really, these centenarians that we talk about today, they still die of a heart attack. They might have dementia, but they've delayed it so far down the road. It might be like 90 before they even have signs of coronary artery disease. Whereas now we're having people with coronary artery disease signs in their 40s. So to do that, we're going to focus in on a couple of things. Number one, exercise.
Yes.
Right? And that's going to be our episode next week. We're going to really look into 2 big studies on the difference between vigorously fit people and life expectancy. And we'll just go ahead and tell it, Melissa, it's full stop. You've got to do it.
You have to exercise. Like, it is the fountain of youth. You know, nutrition is a big part of it, but without exercise, your physical and mental decline, you know, will occur anyway.
Yeah.
You have to exercise.
Exactly. Full stop.
Full stop.
You just got to do it. And this is what requires effort. And we'll talk about different types of exercise. Walking is great, but for the true cardiovascular benefit, the true like mental cancer prevention, these type of exercise, we're going to dig a little bit more into maybe some of the more complex types of exercises. And then the mindset it takes to actually accomplish those things. Yep. Now, don't forget, Melissa, we have our challenge.
Yes.
So for our listeners,
weekly challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. We'll post it on our bonus episode on what we're changing, but also why we're changing that.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right, Melissa. Fantastic.
Yes.